It was the movie Aliens, directed by James Cameron, that introduced me to cornbread. I was about 15 when I saw Aliens. I'm 43 now. I've still never tried cornbread until today. Let's go. Whole aliens thing to you. In the movie, a group of Marines have been traveling across space. They've been in hypersleep, a type of hibernation. They've woken up, they're all having breakfast. Ripley, played by Sigourney Weaver, notices that the character of Bishop, played by Lance Henriksen, is an android. Now, if you've seen the first movie, Alien, there was an android on that ship with Ripley, and the android went crazy and ended up killing people. Spoilers. So Ripley is untrusting of androids. So when she realizes that Bishop is an android, she is not happy. She was not told. Bishop tries to calm her down, saying that the old versions of the androids were always a little bit twitchy, he can't harm a human, etc., etc. And as a peace offering, he picks up a tray of cornbread and offers it to her. Ripley smacks the tray of cornbread out of his hands all over the floor and basically tells him to stay away from her. At which point, Private Frost, who is also at the table having his breakfast, says,
"Guess you don't like the cornbread either."
I always found that line very funny, and it made me want to try cornbread. Here we are today. So, it's a fairly simple recipe. I will put a link in the description below. Let's get into the kitchen and give it a go. So for this recipe, we are using fine cornmeal that I had to get from the internet because they don't really sell it in our supermarkets. We're also using buttermilk, which is something that we have, so that was fairly easy to get hold of. I put all the ingredients into a bowl, mixed it all together, and then added a very healthy amount of melted butter, as you can see. Beautiful stuff. Combined it, folded it all in together to make a sort of cake batter, basically. So then I got my hot cast iron frying pan skillet out of the oven and put the mixture into that. Smoothed it all down, completely unnecessary to use my little scraper there, but I couldn't resist. It was very satisfying. Once I'm done, put it back in the oven, 20 minutes. While I was waiting for the cornbread to cook, I decided to make coffee. Cue unnecessary coffee montage. Here it is. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba. So as you can see, I cremated some bacon. I did a little fried egg and then ruined it because I broke the yolk. So that's a complete mess. But here it is. This is the cornbread. It's quite heavy, quite dense. It's more like, I'm telling you like you don't know what cornbread is, right? It's more like cake than bread. It's a cakey bread. It looks great. So I'm just going to dive straight in. Let me get some egg on there as well. Mmm. Oh, it's stodgy, but in a good way. It's reminds me of dumplings and scones and biscuits, I suppose, for America. Oh, it's very homely and warming. Simple but lovely. I was expecting it to be quite salty and very heavy on the butter. There's quite a lot of butter in there, as you saw. But the recipe specifically said unsalted butter. So I would be interested to hear if that is standard or whether most Americans use salted butter. So it's unsalted butter in here, and then there was about half a teaspoon of salt in the whole recipe. So I'm wondering whether that is standard. Forgive me while I eat my breakfast. I thought cornbread was a breakfast thing because of the aliens thing that I told you about already. But on the recipes it says cornbread can be eaten with chili, barbecue, so just as a sort of carb side thing for dinner, I guess. You can still eat it for breakfast, right? But I thought it was like a purely breakfast thing. So again, something I've learned. Am I making you hungry? You need to go and get yourself some cornbread. I think next time I would use salted butter. In this recipe, I need more of a buttery, salty taste. definitely. I can see how that would be a total winner. This is really nice, but it's just not salty enough. There's such a tiny amount of salt. It's not singing. It needs to sing to me. Cornbread needs to sing to me. Next time I see Sigourney Weaver, I will try and sell her on the value of cornbread and tell her what a waste it is to knock it out of someone's hand, especially in the middle of space where rations are going to be limited. Don't knock your food on the floor. Love making these videos. What's not to like? I'm making a new food I've never tried every single week and then eating it. Genius. Thank you for joining me, as always. Cornbread was another win. Are we going to find something, that I'm going to hate? Trouble is, I probably wouldn't choose something to make that I'm definitely going to hate, like a mushroom and fish stew. Never going to make it. But this is another win. So thank you as always. Please click like if you like the video. Please consider subscribing. It's been lovely having breakfast with you. Please do come back again. Captain Meck, out.